Hello and welcome to Tyas Looks At. Now, some animation companies can be very lucky with their first time out. Disney had Snow White, Pixar had Toy Story, and DreamWorks had Ants. However, this week's film I don't see as the start of a grand legacy for the animation company that made it. I see it more as the malformed, creepy twin that they don't speak of and keep in their basement. Because this is Thor, Legends of Valhalla. The first ever feature-length animated film from Iceland, it follows the eponymous character of Thor as he seeks to prove himself to his father, Odin, king of the gods, whilst the evil ruler of the underworld plots to overthrow, and I'm just describing Disney's Hercules now, aren't I? However, whilst that movie gave us catchy songs, some interesting characters, and some very quotable lines, Thor Legends of Valhalla feels like the first draft of a script that accidentally got made. As you'll soon find out as we look at Thor. Legends of Valhalla. So we open on Thor and his father hard at work as blacksmiths.
Morning. Is Thor around?
Just follow the rumble.
That's a woman?
Okay, I'll admit, that might have been a bit of a cheap joke. However, this is just the first in a number of very questionable character models that exist within this film. As in this film, you're either so stick-thin that you would slip through cracks,
Whoops, a crack in the floor.
or you were as bulky as a Rob Liefeld drawing. Especially if you're a woman in this movie, because I think Edda is the only person drawn with realistic proportions. Especially when you compare her to characters like Freya, with her waist so thin you'd think she had no ribs, or Thor's mother and the Valkyries, who all look like brick walls with skin stretched over them. We move on to the entrance to Valhalla, as three worthy warriors seek entrance after dying in battle, still carrying their wounds apparently. I think warriors would have been a damn sight more careful if they knew that every single wound they take on the battlefield would carry with them to the afterlife. Although, of course, when you think about it, suicide isn't much better.
Is this what happens when you die?
This is what happens when you die. That is what happens when he dies. And that is what happens when they die. It's all very personal. And I'll tell you something. If I knew then what I know now, I wouldn't have had my little accident.
Heimdall. Legend has it that with his perfect sight and hearing, no enemy can approach the city undetected.
Legend forgot to mention that I take lunch around midday. Hold on, I'll be right with you.
As the warriors enter, we are also introduced to, I think his name is Sindri? Since his is the only name I don't recognize on IMDb, which might tell you just how important his character is to the plot. But what if I told you he is the maker of one of the most well-known weapons in all of mythology?
Your Highnesses, are you looking for that little something to tip the balance in your favor so that you can crush the giants once and for all? Look no further, for I give you the Crusher!
That's right, Crusher the Hammer. Would have made Lord of the Rings a lot stupider if that naming convention had stuck. You have Slicer, my sword. You have Chopper, my axe. You have Twangy, my bow. What? Nothing. Yes, in this movie all about Thor, Odin, and frost giants, one of the most important things in all Norse mythology, Mjolnir, has been renamed. So the only time the word Crusher should be used in association with Thor is if someone's describing him having sex with a mortal woman. However, that's not even the biggest insult anyway.
Is it like some kind of button or something?
No, it takes time. You have to learn how to use me.
Yes, the hammer talks, and later on he tries to teach Thor how to use him, resulting in a crossover that's as annoying as if Yoda was voiced by Jar Jar Binks. So through a series of events, Sindri ends up knocking out Odin's eye, because as you'll find with this movie, eyes can simply be removed like unscrewing a light bulb, So I guess explains why Ellie Driver kept losing them in Kill Bill. And for some reason, when Sindri goes to collect the eye, he's thrown out by the guy Idris Elba played in Thor, along with the eye and the hammer.
Take this junk with you, you miserable dwarf!
I gotta go on! All right, now!
No, wait, don't do it! He did it.
And while many of you might be thinking, wait, shouldn't it end up just coming back to Valhalla? No. Instead, it conveniently falls right into the home of Thor and his mother, which is seen as a message from Thor's father Odin to him. However, the message taken, at least by his mother, is that he should stay a blacksmith instead of attempting to be a warrior. Because as this movie loves repeating,
That's your weapon. A hammer.
Sure you wouldn't rather practice with a real weapon? A magical weapon. What idiot would use a hammer for a weapon?
so while we get some poor comedy between Thor and Crusher, we move on to be introduced to our antagonist for the movie, Galaxar from Monsters vs. Aliens.
Who are you spying for? Odin?
You must be terrified. You wake up in a strange place, wearing strange clothes, imprisoned by a strange being floating on a strange hovering device. Strange, isn't it?
Hardly. It's not the first time.
Wow, you really get around.
Of course, along with her pet wolf, who looks like a reverse black and white minstrel show, and will no doubt turn out to be the mighty Fenrir. Tingle from Legend of Zelda appears before Hel and the King of the Giants, who oddly doesn't look like any of the other giants, and tries to instead sell them on the idea of Crusher, despite the fact he doesn't have it on him. Something that he knows perfectly, so why the hell would he go there? Well, it's because he needs to end up giving Hel Odin's eye.
I spy.
Wonderful. Now I can see all of his battle plans, his strategies, his... Oh, good God, what's he doing with that aubergine?
Oh, just put him in the dungeon.
Let's go, little fella. Happy landing.
And now he'll never be important to the movie again. What a complete fucking waste of our time. Back in Thor's village, famous last words are being spoken.
I dread to think where we'd be without Thor and his father's protection.
Yeah, we don't have to worry about the...
I think attacked is a bit of a strong word. It's kind of more...
It is implied that I am being punched.
It turns out that Hel doesn't want the giants to kill people, and that she's actually been freezing them so they won't end up in Valhalla. Which would be really clever if it wasn't for the fact that people can apparently just walk there whenever they like. It makes me wonder about how the people who are wounded actually end up getting there. Also, people who are frozen in giant blocks of ice, still gonna die. Unless their name, of course, is Steve Rogers. And yes, I'm sure someone will tell me this in the comments, I know they only go to Valhalla half the time and it's only when they die in battle. But since the movie never states that fact, I'm going by what little logic the movie actually uses. Thor fails to save the people of his village, with Crusher convincing him that if he learns how to use the magic hammer, then he'll be able to save everyone. Though I think Earthworm Jim had a better time with the Sword of Righteousness.
Stare at the penny and watch Lincoln's face change!
47 years ago. And that's a big goodbye to my credibility.
Did it change, little buddy?
Where y'all been now, Earthworm Berber?
And with what appears to be his single day of training behind him, Thor sets out to save his people. And completely fucks it up. Only to have Odin and Freyr appear to scare off the giants, but also fail to save the prisoners. Starting to think everyone in this movie is a very special kind of dumb. Whilst Thor decides to continue on his suicide mission of heading right to the giants' territory, we get...
Ow, ow. Come on, why does it always have to be iceberg? Why can't there be fields with unicorns and fluffy bunny rabbits? Why does it always have to be scary stuff?
with grinding noises. Sweet hell!
I've seen plays that were more exciting than this. Honest to God, plays!
This would be another major issue in the movie, that it'll cut away to long or unnecessary scenes or to really weak comedic moments, and it just doesn't add anything to the movie. Like with this scene as an example, all we needed to see was him being thrown into the room after managing to escape, not being walked from the moat all the way to the throne room. Not that it matters anyway, because to sum up this scene, it's, make me another hammer. I can't. And I shall just take Crusher for myself. Weren't you trying to do that already? Shut up. Thor arrives at the giant's home, with them allowing him to walk through freely instead of just crushing him and taking the hammer, and he ends up challenging the king's champion.
Is this supposed to be funny? I mean no offense, madam.
Who for some bizarre reason begins to age him as she touches him.
You're having fun? Oh, where are my manners? Thor, son of Odin? Meet old age.
What a twist!
And admittedly, this would be an interesting scene if it wasn't for what happens immediately afterwards. Because hell, if you're going to turn a character old, at least have it affect something. And while there isn't an actual explanation on why the spell almost instantly reverses, there is one likely cause. That's the power of love! And I do mean that literally. During the movie, Hel mentions that humans have a unique magic all to themselves and that they must be careful of it. And as you can guess, it's the magic of...
feelings! Feelings!
Although it's only brought up once and used twice within the movie. This one being the somewhat subtler of the two in comparison. As it's kind of made obvious throughout the film that Edda loves Thor, but either he's gay or oblivious. So much so they don't even get together at the end of the film. Just makes her a new pot. However, we must now prepare for the climactic final fight, as the armies of Valhalla face off against the armies of the Frost Giants. With an army of 10 giants coming to attack them and only 12 or so people in Valhalla, can they possibly survive? Wait a minute, what the fuck is with those numbers? Yeah, the impending fight at the climax? Not really that grand. I mean, if say we were on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being the ending of Doctor Who's The Infinite Quest and 10 being Helm's Deep, this climax would be somewhere around -6.
I've never seen a blizzard like this.
Crusher! I have to go back for Crusher!
He's in the underworld. I'm not going back there. I want to go home.
Oh, I'm sorry, I drifted off. Are you on Thorazine?
I can't think of the last time I ever heard someone give that little enthusiasm or emotion reading a line.
Hey, Sosuke, let's go play.
Oh yeah, forgot about that. Seriously, what is up with that line in Ponyo? Unfortunately for our pair, they come across Hell's forces and...
Edda!
Wait a minute, play that clip again?
Edda!
Listen to his voice, is it just me or does he say...
Edda!
Yeah, I do actually think he gets her name wrong. Okay, maybe he isn't gay or oblivious to her. Maybe he really just doesn't care about her. After being chased off by Hel, Thor magically ends up directly where he needs to be, inside the castle of the giants, where he also finds Edda. No, sorry, I mean...
Edda!
Who somehow managed to get there before he did?
Well, whenever you notice something like that, a wizard did it.
I see, all right, yes. But in episode AG4...
Wizard.
Ah, for Glaven out.
Thor cries onto Edda's frozen form, which frees her, and then somehow unfreezes everyone in the cave and also begins to melt the entire room. And here I thought that tear in the SpongeBob movie was magical. Here's an equivalent of a friggin' H-bomb. So with all of these people freed that Hell and the Giants have been kidnapping, do they go on the offensive and head out to take them down? No, of course not. There's no budget for that. So let's have the team of Thor, Edda, Thor's mum, and the small guy who is still no longer important in this movie. Oh, and somehow Thor's mom knows this information.
Where's Crusher? Hell took your hammer, and she's going to destroy your father with it. What?
Well, I guess it did magically disappear when Thor encountered Hell, so he wouldn't know she had it. But him having to be told that is still all kinds of stupid. The Giants reach the entrance to Valhalla using the prisoners from earlier to trick them into activating the Rainbow Road.
I'll be right with you, chaps.
The war between the two armies begins with Hel chasing Odin into his throne room, where apparently neither leader is a very good shot. King of the gods, more like king of the clods, am I right? Hey, where you going? Don't click away. I promise I won't make any jokes like that ever again. Thor arrives to join the fight, because ineffectual screaming is really what we need right now, and retakes Crusher from Hell through the magic of feelings.
Part of me. Remember?
How could I forget?
Which would be more impactful if they'd spent any meaningful time together, but then that would have been character development, and we can't have that. After sending Hel flying, Thor goes on a rampage, taking out a third of the giant army, thus saving the day. Which would be more impressive if the giant army wasn't in single digits.
Lose the hammer, boy!
Luckily, using information Crusher gave him earlier, Thor is able to pull off a trick shot with the hammer and take out Hel, thus saving the day once and for all. But not before taking one final shot across the bow to our sanity.
This is a day to remember for all eternity. We should call it... we'll call it... what should we call it?
Thor's Day?
Didn't stretch any muscles there, did you, movie? But luckily, that is where we end. So, what did I think? This movie is bland. None of the characters have much of a personality, and hell, we're lucky that the main character even has motivation. Even if it is sort of forgotten about for most of it, and at the end, he's completely forgotten about it, and seems to have just gone right back to the beginning. The antagonist also doesn't seem to have any reason for taking over, other than she's evil. When, even in the earliest Disney films, they had a reason for their villains doing what they do. Most of the characters seem pretty superfluous as well as the film goes on. Thor's mother, the fat elf guy, who I swear his name is only ever said once during the movie. The Heimdall character, who for an all-seeing guardian of the gate is really shit at his job. The secondary antagonist of the Giant King, who instead could just be replaced with Hel for most of his scenes with no trouble whatsoever. And finally Crusher. There's no real need for the hammer to talk. Sure, he acts like a mentor at the beginning, but you could have gotten what he was saying across more subtly instead of him telling weak jokes. Though weak jokes are where this film thrives. Most of the comedy is either unoriginal or random cutaways that are meant to be funny, but come off awkward due to the movie's editing. While you might get a little bit of a chuckle out of one or two of the lines, don't expect to be laughing all the way through. If you want to see this plot done better, with more interesting characters and funnier jokes, I'd say watch Disney's Hercules. Sure, it might have some problems of its own, but you're more likely to learn about Greek mythology watching that than you are to know about any specific Norse mythology watching this. But for now, I've been Tyas, this has been Tyas Looks At, and I'll see you all next time.
Thanks for watching this video. If you want to be kept up to date with new content and show some support for the show, you can find our page on Facebook, find me on Twitter at Tyas Looks At, or subscribe to this channel on Dailymotion. Or if you want to support this show even further, you can find it on patreon.com/TyasLooksAt. Supporting the show will give you access to videos earlier than anyone else, additional bonus reviews, as well as other perks, and allow me to spend more time making content like this. In any way, shape or form you choose to show your support to the show, thanks for watching.